Hi everyone, thank you so much for tuning into my tarot channel. My name is Paulina and I'm gonna share a tarot reading today. I'm gonna be trying to build my presence, focusing just on YouTube for a while. It's always seemed too hard and daunting, and I want to just give it more of a chance, and yeah, and both in terms of my music and in terms of tarot reading. I do private readings with people. If you're interested in working with me, my email is below. And I wanted to read a quote for this reading. The quote is, "The day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom," by Anais Nin. So with that in mind, this is about the end of a relationship or dynamic. Like, it could be a relationship with one person or like a group of people, like a job or a situation. So it's the end of a social relationship. Let's get some cards on the energy, and just a basic opening card. We got 8 of Cups reversed. So this is about, like, sort of not appreciating what you have, not able to enjoy the abundance of life. So that is a major theme in the relationship, that both people, maybe there's a lack, maybe both people felt unfulfilled by what was being offered by the other person. Let's see, we got 7 of Swords. So there was some deception, some maybe lying or withholding of truth, and some choices that had to be made because of that. Let's get some more on this energy. We got the 5 of Pentacles. So this is about loss and feeling like, this makes me think of that movie. It's just this way this is illustrated here. What I think it's called What Things May Come. It's with Robin Williams, and there's a scene where his wife is in a sea of heads, and it's sort of like symbolic of sort of pain and loss and a lot of things. And to me, that pain, becoming subsumed by our pain, makes us anonymous in a way. It removes us of our identity. So the 5 of Pentacles is about financial loss, but not just that. It's about losing, like maybe losing a game or something communicative as well. Could be. We have the 2 of Pentacles. So there was a point where there was maybe the couple, maybe you were conjoined together financially in some way. Maybe there was payment or like a service offered for payment, or maybe you lived together and split the bills, or maybe it was a job. And so where did things go wrong in this dynamic? I'm going to start with what went wrong. The Empress. Interesting that the Empress. So something about abundance, something about fertility, and the number 3, maybe 3 people. Choose company, 3 is a crowd. What else? What was the reason? Another reason that this situation ended the way it did? 6 of Wands, public recognition. So someone maybe like was a whistleblower here in some situation, or somebody maybe had sort of a, not fame to them, but maybe one person like worked in a situation where they had to be like known, and that put pressure on them. And maybe there was like a facade, but there were also good things that that person did. And then that could work both ways reflexively. Santa Muerte. So this is like about there's a cult about the angel of death. It's like I think it's a Mexican thing. And Santa Muerte is supposed to ease people in the transition of life and death. And so you both saw this coming. Maybe you're both very intuitive people and knew whatever was happening wasn't sustainable. And it was like as gentle a death as it could be. Of course, death means rebirth in the tarot. Got King of Pentacles. So you both, or maybe one of you, are focusing on your finances, on building finances, but also on logical, practical things. Maybe you both brought up a lot of impractical things, like for each other in the relationship. Like maybe a lot of the time was spent talking about like fantastical things or dreams or hopes or anything like that, and maybe now you're both trying to ground in reality, in specifically in your masculine, both of you. And so now, what were some of the good things about the relationship, though? And why were these people brought together? Emperor, control, Knight of Wands, Three of Pentacles. So, excuse me. So this person and the relationship that you have, it was activating in ways for both people, and maybe you both felt like you had no control in your lives. The Emperor is about control, and maybe with the Three of Pentacles, maybe there was like, you know, instead of balancing maybe you worked together, and that got maybe off balance. Maybe there was spiritual work, like in Course in Miracles, it talks about spiritual relationships, that both people are the teacher and the student in any dynamic, even if people we don't get along with. So how did they see you in this dynamic? How did they see you? Queen of Swords. They saw you as very intelligent. They saw you as someone very capable, maybe with a sharp tongue. They saw you as someone with ability to think rationally, and maybe you were surrounded by people who weren't rational, and someone who was at the ready for maybe you've been through trauma, maybe you had some swords up. And how else did they see you? Let's get one more contextualizing card. Knight of Pentacles. They see you as very independent, and that you will not bow to others' ways, that you, even for money, that your scruples or your morals, like go beyond money, but at the same time, you work to be independent. They see that you work hard to create your own garden and your own independence. And with the clock here, it looks like a grandfather clock. They see that you felt like they were wasting your time. And they could sense that about you, and they could sense your impatience, and they wanted to set you free. Let's get one more card about how they felt about you. It's not a card. Okay, we had One of Cups and Eight of Wands. There was like some communication about like a romantic or creative or emotional opportunity. Maybe subliminally communicated, or maybe just outright. Maybe through music. There's a lot of ways people can communicate their feelings. So they did have like care that they tried to communicate, emotional care. And how did you see them? Oh, this fell under the seat, so just get this one. You saw them as Seven of Cups. You saw them as someone who was just like a fantasy, like maybe you didn't think there was a real chance that anything would ever happen with them, or maybe the options they were offering you, maybe it was like, if it was a professional situation or even family, you felt like maybe there was like some wool being pulled over your eyes. But also you saw that they had a lot of options, like romantically, and that you had choices too in the situation, and that there was confusion in the situation, and that your heart was involved. Let's get another card about how you felt about them. Ooh, Two of Cups. So you definitely saw a romantic partnership, a romantic relationship in the works. You saw that in the dynamic. One last card about how you felt about them. You felt like, so I think this is, yeah, Six of Swords. You felt like at a certain point it was time to move on, and leave this chapter in the past, and it was really painful for you to do that, but it was the right thing. Let's get a card on why that happened. Why was that the ending? Why did you feel that was the right choice? And why did this person sort of let you go and also feel that this was the right choice? And maybe there was signs of this death of this relationship for a while that you both knew about. So why, yeah, like sort of why did this end? Why did you get on the Six of Swords boat? Because that's how it's traditionally depicted, as like a boat going through the river Styx in my mind. The Ten of Swords. It was a natural ending, but it was also, there was like a lot of anxiety. Both people were having mental anxiety, and it was it was an end point. Like the mental capacity had been fulfilled almost. What else about this dynamic and why the ending happened? Maybe there was, sleepless nights, or maybe there was some treachery. Maybe there was someone felt like they didn't know how to get rid of someone, so they did something tricky, and the other person picked up on it. Nine of Swords. Insomnia. The other person is up at night thinking about how they acted, feeling alone, feeling like they're questioning their beliefs because of the interaction. get a couple more cards on this, then a closing card. The Fool. So traditionally the Fool is depicted with a little, it's like a clown with a little white dog at a cliff. Maybe you brought each other to the edge of something, some precipice emotionally or mentally, and then you brought each other to the end point, the 0 point, where it's almost like you did jump off a cliff to change your realities, but then you couldn't continue together. Let's get a closing card for this. Judgment. Yeah, just sort of death all around, and really that card is about the second coming of Jesus, but that also, like, there was something amiss in the dynamic that you corrected by leaving. You didn't like it from the beginning, but you put up with it. And through interacting with this person, you put your finger on it, what that thing was that you didn't like, and then you were like, no, I don't like that. I have to leave. The Hermit. Now you're both in this inner sanctuary of study and perhaps things with the hands, maybe dexterous work. What's a closing healing message for this situation? Page of Swords. There's immature thoughts, immature thought process, but also the willingness to be open, beginner's mind here. Maybe this person was emotionally immature, or you were. And what does this person want you to know? Page of Pentacles and the Devil. They feel enslaved by this, by you, by the memory of the situation. They feel dedicated and committed to you in some way, to your promise. They see that you could, they see that you have promise, but they also are chained to their own addictions. And they see that that was part of why this ended, and their own addictions do have to do with money, and maybe that somehow some sort of greediness, or what is it called? I can't think of, hedonism, that you detested, or maybe just subconsciously pushed you away. Or really they just want you to know that, like, they have maybe like addiction problems. So let's get one more card, what they want you to know. No, that's not our card. What card? What do they want you to know? Oh. They see you as the Queen of Wands. They see that you can manifest, make things happen. And as the Queen of Cups, they see that you have a big heart, and the purple relates to Jesus and relates to healing and really magic, a lot of, and royalty. I'm gonna get a final Kim Krantz. I have the book here, and I'm just gonna spin it and read a quote, because the quotes are really good. They're not attached to the cards. Ooh, we got the animal, the beast, the wild one, the she-wolf. Notice your resistance to the animal within. Where does it come from? What has it kept you from doing, wild one? When light, vital, elemental, alive dances. When dark, savagery, pent-up emotion lashing out. Go deeper. Listen to the audio recording of Mary Oliver reading Wild Geese. Repeat every morning for 1 week. The animal demands we get comfortable in our own skin. The minute you accept, express, and celebrate the physical body, you tap into the animal energy. And then it says a whole bunch. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Yeah, if you ever have dreams about animals in the upcoming couple weeks, I would pay attention to them and how those animals make you feel, because that could be related to the dynamic of this reading, but mainly both. This was just sort of an experience, a growth experience for both people. And there was attraction, maybe even sexual attraction. I don't know how far that went, but sometimes that happens sometimes we're attracted because there's growth there that needs to happen. And sometimes it does develop into like, a romantic relationship where we're really plunging into, honestly, our inner child, and that's really what all of romantic relationships are about. But sometimes the relationship, also depending on astrology and what's meant divinely by the greater universe, is just meant for us to each learn. And you may both be at a point where you're wondering, why did this happen? Why did I change so much? Why did I have this experience? Think of it as sort of like, sometimes you meet some stranger on the bus who really says something. It just changes your whole worldview, and you never see them again. And it's similar to the quote in the beginning that once you hear that person say that to you, you can no longer stay in the bud that you're within. You have to bloom and become a flower. So thanks for tuning in.